So today we're just going to have a look at the agenda in Meeting Manager and a refresher on some of the features coming off of the agenda. And now I'm going to go to Meeting Manager. So this is a demo conference that I have set up here. Let's put that out of the way. So the agenda is where all your meetings for a face-to-face event or an online event reside. As you can see, I've set up some meetings with some colleagues today. The first thing to say that this event is actually in Istanbul, and the start time for the event in Istanbul is 9 o'clock. Actually 9:30 rather, but the time shown on my agenda, because I'm based in the UK, are my UK times. So you can see my first meeting says 9:30, and you might have seen the pop-up reminded me of that meeting with Wei earlier. So all agendas for online meetings especially are in your local time. So running down the agenda, the first thing to point out on the day, there's a help button. So in the background, we have a team at Study Travel looking after the event. And if you're in need of help, you can click on the help button and you can send the team a message. And pretty quickly, they'll get back to you and try and resolve your issue, whatever that might be. You can put anything in there, even at face-to-face events, but principally anything can go in there, any technical problems, etc. The only thing we'd request that you didn't put in there are no-shows, because they're handled in another way, and I'll come on to that in a second. So you type your message and click send. On the top right here, there's a button that is kind of self-explanatory, but if you have some free meeting slots, you can click on the Who is Free When I Am, and that will produce a list of people per organization type who are free when you are free. So for example, if I click apply on service providers, it will bring back Samantha, because I know for a fact she has a free slot when I do. And I can see also that she sent me a meeting request, and that corresponds with the meeting request number over here. So skipping back to the agenda. The other thing to say at the start of any event, especially an online event where the destination of the event is out of your time zone somewhat, is to review the agenda and lock any slots that you do not want to do because you're either out of the office or attending to other matters. So you can do this by clicking on the lock icon. And to reverse that, click on that again. Now, what that essentially does is tell the system not to use that slot when someone is accepting a meeting request with you. The only person that will be able to assign a meeting to a lock slot is yourself. And I can show you that in a second. So rest assured, anything you lock will remain locked. You can also lock meetings that you have. For example, if I lock Ways, the system won't seek to rearrange that meeting when your agenda becomes quite full. And what I mean by that is that there's a feature which we call Matchmate, that when your agenda is getting very full, if you want to meet with someone and there aren't any corresponding free slots, the system will seek to move meetings around to accommodate the request that you want to accept. However, as a last resort, it will only suggest moving something that you have locked. So you can lock meetings that you have scheduled. So moving down to an actual meeting slot, as we call it. You'll see here it says table online. Ordinarily, if this was a face-to-face event, it would say the table number of the person you are meeting with if they're sitting at a table. So you know where to go. You can see that it's an online meeting, and as you can see, you've got the go to meeting button here, which takes you into our video meeting modal. So running across here, we have some buttons which again seem quite self-explanatory, but there's a cancel meeting, and that confirms that you want to cancel. You can also rearrange the meeting. You get a preview of their meeting request to you. You can review company information again if you want. You can also see where you previously met that person and any previous meeting notes, which I'll come on to in a second. So you can rearrange the meeting to a new time slot in your own agenda, and you can see it's already suggesting the one free slot that I have available. And I can accept that. Or if I go back to rearrange, I could assign this meeting to a colleague. Click OK, select the colleague in question that's at the event with me, and select a meeting slot. Even when you're rearranging it in your own agenda or into one of your colleagues, you can manage where this meeting is placed manually. So I can click on Manage this meeting manually, and that will take me through into Stephanie's agenda, and I can select a slot manually. So the ones that were offered on the previous screen are the ones in green, but I can select something different. Now you can assign a meeting to a colleague at any stage during the process, even when you're accepting a meeting request. For example, if I click on View Request, I can assign it to a colleague from here too. So going back to agenda. The next one along is I can send a message to Wei in this case. You'll note that from the agenda, it puts in a subject line, so there's a bit of context, and then you can type the rest of your message here. You can apply attachments, either from your study travel network, documents, folders, or photos, and or your computer. This icon here allows you to enter private meeting notes. Now you can do this during the event, or you can do it afterwards, and you can simply click on the icon, and that will bring up meeting notes for this event. I already put one in earlier, but I can extend that, whatever it might be, after the meeting. So I could put in a note about what I want to talk about, and then I could put up a follow-up note in here and save that. Now that gets committed to the database. So these notes are accessible in a number of ways when you want to retrieve them. First and foremost, whenever you look at the delegate in question via Meeting Manager, you'll get this pop-up modal that gives you quite a bit of information about the company. If I was looking at an agent or an educator, I'd have their company stats, the courses that they offer and they sell, etc. But also down here, again, where I previously met this person, but also the meeting notes, for example. It will also say where the meeting was held, etc. Should be down the bottom. So that's one place you can get to these notes. A second place you can get to these notes is via the agenda export. And if you select one meeting per page, it will produce a document that looks like this. And as you can see, as the name suggests, you have one meeting per page. You have the time, the date, and the information about the delegate you're meeting. And as you can see, any previous meeting notes that you or your colleagues have left about meeting with this person. So this document is quite handy to export either prior to your conference, so you have an overview of the things that have been discussed previously, and or after the event, once you've entered all your notes, and it's something you could send around to your office and any interested parties in your office, or simply print out and keep it on record somewhere. And the third place where you can access these notes is from the attendees list. And if I went down to export to Excel, that will produce an Excel file. And in the Excel file, once it comes up, you'll notice a meeting notes column, and the meeting notes for that event per delegate is in here. So you could export this or import that into your CRM if you wanted, but all the notes are in there. And I might also add that for a proper conference, so to speak, you'll notice you get a tab for all the service providers in attendance, the agents, the educators, and the associations. And on these tabs, if I was to scroll right along to the right, you'll notice that the Excel is full of all their company programs, etc., the programs they offer, and their student numbers, and their top markets, etc., etc. So the export to Excel is much more detailed. So you can record notes, see history, export, and reference anytime. This button here is to report a no-show, as I mentioned earlier. So for whatever reason, the delegate hasn't shown up at the table or attended the video conference meeting, and you can report that no-show to the organizer. The modal is quite self-explanatory, but essentially once you click yes, that will send a message to the organizer saying, where are they? A message to the person that hasn't shown up saying, where are you? And you get a copy for yourself. Now, once that's been sent and received, the organizers will attend to that and try and locate the delegate in question and see what the problem is. But in the intervening time, if they have turned up, you have made contact, we would request that you reverse the process by cancelling the no-show, so we know everything is all right in the world. And the final thing I think I'd like to show you on the agenda is, if indeed you needed to, you can export the agenda 1 day per page or 2 days per page, and that comes out in a rather simplified format, like so. However, we would really recommend in these days of good internet and mobile phone coverage, that really you use your agenda from your mobile phone rather than walk around any conference with a printed agenda, because as is the nature of the system, people can change, cancel, rearrange meetings at any time. So the source really is the digital version. So we would recommend that you use the digital agenda. And that concludes the short presentation today. Any questions?
Thank you, very useful.
Very good. Thank you.
There is a question, Stephen.
Oh,
Sorry,
yes.
in the chat. Is there a way to add everyone at a meeting to your connections? Everyone at a conference to your connections?
You not in one fell swoop, no. If you have a meeting with someone arranged, you automatically become connected. So you don't have to worry about the people that you've arranged a meeting with. But if I went to the attendees, not a good example because I'm connected to you guys, but this connected icon here would say connect, and you click on that and that will send a request to the person you want to connect with. So it's done manually.
What about communicating with everybody who you're having a meeting with?
In the attendees, down the bottom here, go to meeting confirmed. As a filter, select all, message selected. And that will send a SDM message to everyone that you're connected with, having a meeting with. That's the agenda and some associated features of Meeting Manager. Thank you.